We'll be watching this as in tomorrow morning.
Wednesday morning.
We're recording this the night before. This is kind of a continuation of what we had the evening before and putting a trade together. So I'm bringing James along for the ride. And this is a company that I am very fond of. This is Cybin. Cybin is it's basically a magic mushrooms company for those of you that are into that sort of things. The reason why I like Cybin, obviously, ticker symbol CYBN, is because I think that it's going to be cutting edge in the medical, pharmaceutical, the treatment of depression, anxiety, PTSD. And I look around the world and I go,
that's a big thing.
A lot of that.
There's a lot of that. And they're making groundbreaking studies on using all of those things in a microdose format, which is proven to be healthy, to help with all those things that you mentioned, for sure.
Right. So what we're looking at here now is a trade that I had actually put on yesterday during the day. And I had a buy in here for 34,000 shares at 57 cents a share. Okay. I'm putting on a new trade. So sorry, the trade yesterday was for 34,101 shares. And I'm going to add right now, I'm going to add an additional 34,000 at the 56.64 price range. Okay. So the reason is that I feel like this is a trading pattern. This is realistically, this is what is called a bear flag. We've talked about this before, where you have let's zoom out a little bit.
It's where the pole goes down.
The pole goes down and creates a flag. This usually, okay, in most stocks, this is where it gets a little bit confusing. In most stocks, this is a problematic trade. This will usually break to the downside. Right. Cybin, throughout this entire recessionary push that we've seen so far, has been what we call contrarian. So when the market pulls up, we have had the last, let's call it 3 days of kind of upward trading in the market, a bit of a recovery. And you can see what Cybin's done. Cybin has pulled back. Well, why is that? Well, it's because it's contrarian. When you have growth in other segments of the market, people are jumping into those things. They're pulling money out of these more kind of speculative type positions, right? So what I think is that this week, we're going to get some bad information. And I think that this is going to cause Cybin to potentially break through, getting back up, as we've had lots of areas of support here. Okay. This is a huge area of support. This was the all-time low down over here. Okay. But look what it does when it hits an all-time low. It runs, right? And runs quickly and powerfully. These are huge movements throughout a day. Okay. So what I'm anticipating is, again, for that. So I have buys in at these two levels for about, 34,000 shares a piece times two of them. We're looking, about 70,000 shares at 57 cents approximately a piece. Okay. This is not a small trade. So what we're looking to do is, like we talked about earlier, is we have a take profit. Okay. And we have a stop loss. Why is my stop loss where it is? Well, this is where the lows have been. Okay. This is where the highs have been. Well, I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to go back to where I think there's the possibility of taking money off the table. Okay. So if this right now hits this value, I have two movements here that would generate me the first position. I'm going to put this here for now. I'll change it back later. The first position would generate me about $2,526. The second would be about $2,625. Two separate trades because they're in two separate days. The one is active. I'm down currently $173 in one day. Okay. But I'm seeing it bouncing off this bottom again, right? This is a support now. So where do I see it going? I see it coming back up here and testing this resistance again, okay? But what have we noticed when it touches and hits the resistance? It runs through a little high. So that's what I'm hoping, is that we're going to get in through like this, hit this, run a little high, hit my take profit, and then likely pull back down into this channel again. So that's the trade. While you people are at work tomorrow, when you guys are watching this, this will be coming on 9 a.m. in the morning, so you'll be able to check this out. We're going to monitor this throughout the day. So we're going to be able to see how this works, if it works, and what our stop loss position is. So our stop losses are set at a minus 1,600 and a minus, again, they're about the same, about 1,600 times 2. So I'm risking $3,200 in potential loss to make about $5,000 in potential gain. For what? For what's my thought? I'm just taking where it's been, right? I'm not being like, it's going to
the moon. No.
I'm just playing it off of where it's been and where I think it's going to go. So the initial things that are questioning to me is that we've got the 200-day moving average that it keeps hitting its head off of. So is that going to be problematic? As you can see, it's kind of rolling along that support, that triangular resistance line up top here. So it's going to take a little momentum to break through that. But this is going to be a 3 or 4 or a 5-day trade. What my big position is tomorrow is that it's got to hold this line. If it falls through, it could very easily fall this distance down, and it would hit my stop loss, and that's fine. You win some, you lose some. I'm taking a risk on Cybin in the position that I think that it's been contrarian, okay? It has done the opposite of what the market is doing. The market, I think, tomorrow is going to start to continue to rip up a bit, and then by the week's end, people are going to start to take profits. So I've got 3 or 4 days that I want to be in this trade. Then I want to be taking that money off the table because it becomes very wishy-washy as it condenses and channels in.
And at any moment, you can take the money off the table. You don't have to wait for a stop loss or a gain, right? Like you can take it off the table at any time. Like you are making a risk by just, but this prevents if you're away or you got something you got going on.
Right.
You don't have to worry about it. Whereas you'll probably watch it a little bit and, you know.
Right. And this is something that when I first started trading, I wasn't very good at. I've had days where I've been up $50, $60, $70, $80,000 and then walk away from it. And then the next morning and you wake up, it's down to $40,000 you're up or $30,000 you're up, that sort of thing. Right. Yeah. So you're losing that. And one of these things, that's why I'm kind of explaining to people that this is the best way to do it, especially if you're not a full-time trader.
That's right.
If you can't be watching this all the time, you need to have an ability to stop and get away from it. Because these companies can go to the moon. They can go great. They can go gangbusters. And they can also go to zero. Right? Yeah. Like right now.
Sorry. So on this app, does it include aftermarket trading?
Can. Yeah, it depends. So I have what's called the pro version. So I pay a premium to do it. But what I'm doing is I'm running this through my Interactive Brokers account, which does have that capability.
Yeah.
So TradingView is just a charting software. It links directly to my broker. My broker has all of the tools that I use. So I can, at any point tomorrow, if I think that I'm going the wrong side of this, I can cut my stop loss way earlier than that and get out. I just don't think that we're going to run that much lower over the next 4 or 5 days. I think there's a chance it breaks low underneath that bear flag that we're calling. But I think that it's going to have enough momentum to pull itself back up and potentially hit that take profit. Yeah. But we're going to put our money where our mouth is. There's not many people out there that are showing you live trading. And again, like that's, I don't know, it's not a little bit of money. It's $75,000, $80,000 on our trade here. So let's see what we can do. Let's see what the next 4 or 5 days holds. And I'll let you know if I'm $3,000 down or if I'm 10 grand up.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to make like people, like not everyone is aware that even though the markets have closed, there is an aftermarket trading between the hours of 4 and 8.
Yeah, so at 4 p.m. So the hours of regular hours trading are 9:30 a.m. So just before, when this is going to be put on tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., you're going to have an opportunity to watch this. You know, we're 10 minutes. We're probably going to be about 15 minutes by the time we wrap this up. You're going to have about 15 minutes to kind of do a little bit of your own research before the market opens. And we're going to see, holy shit, either Pat's brilliant or yikes, right? But no, this is an average size trade that I would throw on. I diversify in a number of different areas, but a $75,000 trade where I think that being contrarian in this market right now, I think is a good thing. If you can find a product out there that is moving opposite the market where people aren't watching it, I think there's opportunity. So we'll see over the next 3 days. I would say by Friday or Monday, we should have a pretty good idea of where this is going to go. And we'll see. I can cut losses and we'll talk about that later. If that's the case, if I see that it's getting away on us. But if it's going to be a positive trade, I'm in. Let's see what we can do here.
That'd be nice. And then we could show the profiteers a little bit of excitement. Yeah.
That's right. We'll have to.
And then you could take me out on a boat or something.
Well, if only we knew a guy.
Yeah, we just need a boat. Really.
That's it.
That's awesome. Yeah. So what's else is going on today that's thrilled you? Anything in the news?
I don't know. You've been arrested today, or did you put your hands behind
I
your back?
have not. I have not been arrested. I've heard a certain two young ladies have been arrested for protesting.
Yeah, so I don't know if any of you folks have been watching it. And the media has really played this up, which drives me absolutely nuts. Is AOC, so Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Sorry for, I don't know if I pronounced that at all right. And Ilhan Omar are two congresswomen that were arrested today at the pro-abortion rally that they were holding in front of the Supreme Court. Yeah. And what is so ironic to me is the publicity stunt that it was. You know, you don't have to be pro-abortion, you don't have to be pro-life, whatever your politics are, to step back and go, these people are frauds. You had these two women that were arrested off the Supreme Court steps for a photo op, which they faked being handcuffed and had journalists on the correct angle so that it looked like they were hands behind their back, handcuffed, being led off the steps of the Supreme Court, which watch a clip of it and there's no handcuffs, there's no nothing. It's a scam. And I don't like that.
Well, I agree that there were no handcuffs. You're right. There were no handcuffs in the way I saw the video. And I've only saw a couple of angles and a couple of times. And definitely she's walking like someone who is in handcuffs, and then she's not. But she is doing a service to the people that she runs for, right? She is standing up, and that's admirable. I think anyone who stands up for the people that you represent, and the people that you represent are pro-abortion and pro-choice, and she's doing, and she was taken away by police in some format. Yeah, she wasn't handcuffed, like that's clear in the videos that I've seen anyway of her being let off. Whether she was handcuffed off camera, I have no idea. I have no way of knowing that. Whether she was arrested, I also have no way of knowing that, because the cameras don't follow, the ones that I've seen haven't followed that. But it's admirable that she's standing up for the people that she represents, and that's what any congressman should do. That's what I expect my PMs to do in Canada.
The issue that I have with it, and you know, the play that I take on it, is that I'm all fair in love and war, right? When Donald Trump went out and cleared off, you know, the area and went out for his little, you know, photo
with the little Bible
by the church,
yeah,
he was running for his people, the people that supported him in that position, and he was lambasted. The entire world laughed at him, was like, you dick, why would you clear out a park? Why would you do this so that you can go have a photo op?
So and did the entire world, or did the liberal part of the world?
That's what I mean. The media.
Right. So what is Fox News saying about, because I haven't looked at any Fox News because I don't watch it usually. What are they saying about their arrest?
Oh, I would argue that the right has been laughing at these frauds because they're going out they're saying, like, look how stupid.
So in actuality, you're proving the fact that there's absolutely no difference. The reaction is the same.
No, I would argue the right, when Trump went in and did what he did, was like poor taste. A lot of people thought that was poor taste. And at the time, they were rioting and burning things down, and they cleared a park, and he viewed that. He went over to the oldest church in Washington, D.C., and showed that, hey, listen, we're going to stand for law and justice. That was the view. That was the political move that he made, okay? So, again, he was standing for his supporters. It was a photo op. Right, wrong, it was a photo op. And the photo op backfired hugely for him on both sides. Whereas now, like, literally, Google it. They're being sung as heroes because they were arrested today when they weren't arrested. Like, it just shows how broken the media is.
We don't know they weren't arrested. What we do know is they weren't handcuffed, and they were portraying themselves as being handcuffed. They very well could have been arrested.
So the reason why
that rebels were being arrested, right?
Well, so yes, absolutely there is. But there's the reason why they were doing what they were doing is because it goes to civil disobedience. Okay. So in the United States and in democracies around the world, we have a viewpoint of civil disobedience in which you are being accosted, arrested by a power that you're fighting. If a police officer comes to you and says, "Excuse me, ma'am, will you please come off the steps of this Supreme Court?" and you go, "Oh, okay," and you run away, that's not civil disobedience. So you can't market it as civil disobedience, right? You can't be, a person that lays down in the street in front of traffic, or lays down in front of a tree when they're going to cut down trees. If all of a sudden, when somebody comes along and goes, "Excuse me, ma'am, can you move?" and you go, "Oh," it's not real. It's bullshit. But the problem, the media is portraying it as this civil disobedience. Look at what these people are doing. They're sacrificing. It's bullshit.
Well, I wouldn't say she's sacrificing. I wouldn't go that far, but I would say that she's doing the cause that she has said that she would go with. She's doing it justice by showing up. Not all politicians show up to causes that they say that they're for. She's actually standing among the people that she says she supports, and she is like trying to do something. Now, for her to throw herself down on the stairs and lock herself to the door, or what all the civil disobedience that you're talking about, would be in poor taste. I don't think that anyone would see that as good. I don't know. Maybe they would. I'm not sure.
That's the spin. The media now takes the picture at the angle where she looks like she's in cuffs being accosted by a police officer, and she becomes the sacrificial lamb for the cause. Look what she's done. She showed up. There was lots of people showed up. You're no better than anyone else. You get a camera guy to angle it the way that you want it angled, and now you become a sacrificial lamb for this process. It's bullshit.
What makes it better is that she's a well-known person, and we're talking about it, as well as probably a million other podcasts around the world and news and everything. So that's why she's not like all the other regular people that are standing there. It's great that they're all standing there. I think that freedom of speech is the most important thing that we can have in any country. And I think the fact that you have the right to protest is the most important thing. Whether I agree, disagree, you get the right to do that, as long as you're not hurting people, preventing people from, to a certain extent, live their lives. Like if someone is like losing a job or their business is being vandalized, I draw a line there. That's not something that you should be. That's not civil disobedience. I mean, that's not a proper protest. But if you're just blocking an area and detaining people, then allowing them through, that is a proper protest, and that is getting results that you need. It's just a different way of doing it. And I think that's what they were doing. I don't think that they were doing any damage. I don't think they were doing anything, as far as I know. They were having people protest, right? So what she did by being there and by leaving when the police asked her to, was bringing notice to a cause that the people who follow her feel is very, very important, and that's her job. That's why she gets paid.
Pal, I don't have a problem with what she's doing. I have a problem with the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy.
I'm saying there's not hypocrisy, because Fox News does the same thing whenever a conservative does it. Just it's unlikely a conservative is going to be out there in a protest unless it's a gun rally. Like really, it doesn't happen very often. Well, how often do you see a conservative protest? And I guess maybe there's pro-life protests, so that you could. I don't know if that's a conservative protest or not, but yeah, I guess that is. I don't know how many conservative leaders are standing among that pro-life protest.
Dude, like that.
I'm asking. That
blows my mind. Like you went through 4 years of Trump rallies that were like 70,000 people, stadiums sold out. What do you mean that they don't have?
Yeah, but that was like an Egomaniacs concert. Like it wasn't a protest of any kind. It wasn't any. It's different. So I don't think she organized the protest. I think she showed up to the protest in support. Right? Whereas Trump organized these things to raise his egomania.
Or
He
to
was trying to garner support to be a
garner live. See, this is why people don't understand Trump. So Trump was able to have every American on a Tuesday night glued to CNN and MSNBC and CNNBC and all of these media thresholds where he had them listen to his exact words because they would play it verbatim. Then those media outlets would then, for the next 4 days, 5 days, write a narrative about how racist, how egomaniac, how all this shit would come down the pipe, and his people would go, "That's not what he said." Yeah. And they would go on and they would say, "Well, he didn't say that, did he?"
No, but in his speech, he would say equally bad stuff. So you can't say he didn't, but you can say that I watched again and again where the media would take cuts out of context and then try to garner a message from that saying that Trump said something that he didn't say. But then if you go back and you watch the whole speech, there are things that he does say that are bad. And so I don't know why the regular media just didn't, here's Trump's words. There you go. This is what he actually said. This is the context. And he's an idiot.
But to his viewers and to his constituents is that they weren't bad. Because you disagree with him politically, it does not mean that he is all the things that they say he is. Like, you don't have to like him. I don't like Trudeau. Trudeau, I think, is a terrible politician. I think he has a lot of very, very wrong ideas. I'm sure Justin Trudeau is a nice guy.
Probably. I don't know.
I am vehemently opposed to his politics. I think he's incredibly dangerous. But I'd have a beer with him. Why?
I think he's dangerous as well. I don't disagree with you.
The point is that the media has made Donald Trump out to be, the next Hitler, and he's not.
So I don't think Trump is necessary. I don't think he should ever have been president. I think he made a lot of decisions that were wrong, but there were a few that were right that he did make that made the country better. But there were some that he made that made the country worse. Whether we agree or disagree, that's just the truth of it. But every president has done that, right?
Absolutely.
Every president, because that's what you do. What his problem was, he was a blowhard. He was so busy being egomaniac.
You got to read his stuff.
I have.
You got to read the art of
I
the
have
if you know Trump as a business person, he is a master marketer. And what he was able to do.
I'm not saying he was 24. They're still talking about him.
Yeah.
They are so afraid of him. They are still talking about him and still bring him up quite often.
He's an asshole
on everything. We're bringing him up now.
But he's an asshole.
And it's because negative news and positive news both breed information, right?
So he's an so here, just hear this out for a second and then come back to what you said. So he's an asshole, right? That's the view everyone in the world now, only half of the Americans,
I'll give you that.
Half of the Americans voted for him, but hey, you know what? He's an asshole and nobody likes him now, right? Well, I don't agree with that. I think a lot of people at the time voted for Donald Trump, and I think we'll vote again. I don't think that he runs again and wins. It depends on who the Democrats run against him. If he goes against Biden, he wins in a landslide. But I think that if him and the guy out of Florida,
I don't know his name.
Governor Florida.
Don't know.
Just escape me. If they run together, he wins. Trump wins again. Like it's going to be at that point. And the reason is that most of the people that voted for Joe Biden are having buyer's remorse, right? Is that
you're not wrong? There are a lot of people that voted for Joe Biden that have really disagreed. And to be honest, Biden right now has a very tough job. I think any president right now would have a tough job. Like you're in a recession. There's wars breaking out. There was a pandemic. It's a tough time to be a politician. You got to admit that it's a tough time. It would be a tough time for anyone, even your favorite lover, Trump. It would be a tough time for him as well.
What I'm saying is that if you keep shooting yourself in the fucking foot, you're going to run with a limp. And that's where the United States is right now. And to follow the money, the United States has made awful decisions over the last 18 months. They continue to make awful decisions. They're putting themselves into a situation where they're excluding themselves as a global power. That's wild. The United States is excluding themselves as a global power, and it's going to have long-term ramifications. The dangerous thing is what I'm talking about is the media not talking about it. You've got a guy there who's fallen off bike, can't walk up and down stairs. He goes to meetings and he's shaking hands with people that aren't there. This guy's not there, right? And I'm sorry, you're not going to go around the world and express dominance, the geopolitical dominance that it takes to be the superpower of the world with a geriatric dude that doesn't know whether he's pitching or catching. And his son, the pictures, the phone, like all of the stuff that's coming out with that boy, he is so compromised. It's disgusting. But this is what I'm back on with the media. The media has not allowed any of this to come out, and that's criminal. That's criminal. They think what Trump did and talking with Russia and all that sort of thing, not even remotely. There has been a concerted effort to get Donald Trump out of politics or to blackball him as much as he can. And you got to ask why. And that's all I'm asking you to do is ask why.
I'm not going to disagree with you. I think watching what I've watched and seeing what I've seen, there was a concerted effort to stop social media from promoting Trump in any way.
Why?
The conservative.
If he's such an asshole, people can see that.
I think a lot of people were worried. I think you'd have to go back to the first Trump election where I lost a lot of money and pride.
Why was that?
Because I thought Hillary was going to win, because there's no way Trump could win.
How's your
hat? I was wrong. I had to wear a Make America Great hat again. But I would say there were a lot of closet voters. I would say there were a lot of people that were screaming at the top of their lungs, I hate Trump, and they voted for Trump. Right. Now, after seeing what Trump did, I think there are less of those people. But rightly so. I think with Joe Biden, there are a lot of people that are saying that they wish they hadn't voted for Joe Biden. Not that Trump would have been better, but with a two-party platform, I agree with you. I think the Democrats will have to pick another stronger leader, someone that has
their party is toast. Their party has gone so far left that who is the next up and comer?
That's what I'm saying. I think that what they would have to do is they would have to go back to the old liberal ways and have a strong leader come out and go, okay, we're going to worry about money. We're going to worry about social structures. We're going to worry about the things that matter, and then once we get that under control, we will go back to looking at the other things. I think if you had a strong liberal come out and say those things, you would have people not vote for Trump, because they would be like, I'm voting for Trump because I want to get away from this, But now that I know this guy is going to go in doing what we need to get done right now, and then get back to what liberals want, then I'm going to vote for him. I think you had liberals jump ship the first time for Trump because they were kind of sick of everything being about, I'm not saying it, but they were kind of sick of everything being about like gender politics and all that stuff, which is all important. Don't get me wrong. I think it's very important, gender politics and all that stuff, and all lives matter, and Black Lives Matter. Sorry, I was watching a video.
Cancel him.
Cancel me. No, I was watching a video that was talking about all lives, Black Lives Matter, and anyway, so Black Lives Matter, all of that stuff, Native rights, all important. But right now, all of us, whether you're white, Black, Native, gay, transgender, we're facing a recession where we need to get our money right. We need to get our work. We need to get jobs. We need all of that. And I think if a good, strong liberal leader came out and said those things and said, you know what, we're going to concentrate on this. We're not going to forget that other stuff. That other stuff's important. Right? But we're going to work on this. Once we get this right, then we're going to go back to that. I think that Trump loses.
So they've already drawn their line in the sand on what they're running on in the midterms. So they're running on Roe versus Wade, abortion rights. Yeah. And what was the other one? They were running on what was the other crisis that we just had?
Climate?
No. Roe versus Wade, and what was the other one? There was the other thing that just came out here recently, and that's it. Like they're not real. Like they're real. They're real in the sense that they matter to a minority group population. Right?
I don't think it matters to a minority. I think it just matters to a large group of people. Roe versus Wade matters. There's a large group of people that matters to.
No, but it's a minority group. It's a minority.
Minority. It's not like a minority group of people that believe that Roe versus Wade is important.
Is it 50% of the population?
Probably.
I don't think so.
It possibly could be. I don't have the facts in front of me, but I would think so. No, probably pretty close.
These are minority causes that the Democrats are hitching their wagon to, and you're going into a majority problem that they got choking down their throat right now. So when you're focusing on minority related problems, while everything was good, you feel good about feeling good and doing nice things. But when you can't feed your family anymore, you stop giving a shit and you go, no. And that's reality of what's coming.
So I don't disagree with you. And that's what I'm saying, that's what the Liberals have to do to make a change. They have to come out and say.
They've already cut their line. They're done. They're going to lose the midterms in a landslide.
For the midterms.
The midterms are toast. So what?
You're likely right, because in like a month, we're going to see job losses. We're going to see more expense, more costs in our grocery stores and stuff like that. And that's when it's going to hit everybody that this is what's important. This is what we need to concentrate on, right?
This is what's scary to me. Where this becomes scary is that Joe Biden very easily is setting himself up to be a sacrificial lamb for the causation, right? This is a guy who had wanted to be the president of the United States for 40 years. Right. And now he's there. He should have never been there. He is a geriatric old man. He's won this. He is. Like, you can't look at him and go, he's.
I am not a Biden fan.
Right. What I'm concerned about is that
I don't know that when he's talking and he forgets I often forget what I'm talking about while I'm talking, but I am not president.
And you're not eating.
Yeah, and there's a lot of times that I've watched his whole speech, and there's sometimes that a lot of it does not make sense, or he reads the now say this. The card where to go. Yeah, where to go and stuff, which is pretty comical. But
what I'm concerned about is that we are going to go through arguably what could be another Great Depression, where we are under an increasingly complicated global economic situation, where things such as the great financial reset that has been talked about through the World Economic Forums and all sorts of things, if he was able to be sacrificed in a position, that, hey, somebody that's a little bit more aware, a little bit more competent would be like, no, I'm not willing to put my name on that one. That's not what I'm willing to do, guys. Whereas this guy is an old guy. He's riding off into the sunset. He's had a great life. He's been a politician all his life. He finally got the highest office in the land. He's living it, right? He's a yes man at this point. Like, there's no question that I don't think Joe Biden's got a tough bone in his body that he's going to take on any and all comers. It's not a thing.
I don't know. I see moments of toughness in him. There are moments of toughness that I've seen him, and then there's moments of other people are leading him around and telling him where to go. But I'm not sure I believe in the Great Reset, that, the conspiracy theory that you keep bringing up. I understand that there's a little bit of truth. There's a little bit of
race. It's not a theory, man. If they wrote a book about it, it's a policy.
Many theories are written in books. Tons of theories.
It's not a conspiracy theory. It's a theory. It's not
a conspiracy theory that's what's happening now. It's a theory that it's in a book. It's a real theory. The conspiracy part is that people are enacting it at this moment. That's the conspiracy part.
I would argue read it and tell me on what page we're in, because I think we're in the first couple chapters. Read it. Read it. Go look at it. It's not like I'm not sitting here telling you this shit to fuck with you. I'm saying that.
No, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Moving forward.
Right. But I'm just saying that I think that so I used to be in conspiracies when I was younger. It's a younger man's game because you have more time on your hands, and idle hands are the devil's tools, I think. And so, you look up all this stuff and you start watching, and then you start watching more. And Facebook and YouTube and all those things are wonderful for that because they will keep feeding you the information you want to hear. They're like an echo chamber that echoes back exactly what you want to hear, and you end up hearing all the things you want to hear. I am sure that there is truth. Every conspiracy theory that I have ever watched and saw, and there are many, many conspiracy theories, there is always truth within them. There's always things that you can point to, except for the flat earth thing. I still am confused by why anyone believes that. But other than that, there is a shred of truth to all the conspiracy theories that lend to it being real. And if you keep reading into it and you keep being in that echo chamber, you'll convince yourself quite easily.
Okay, so but my question is, instead of dismissing and going, it's a conspiracy.
I'm not dismissing it. I'm saying it could be conspiracy. It's considered conspiracy.
What part is considered that the book is real?
The book is real.
Book.
The book is real. The conspiracy part is that people are acting upon the book right now.
You dismissed it as a conspiracy theory right off the hop, which
I said was it's a conspiracy theory that they're acting upon it right now. The real part is it's a book. Yes.
So
this piece of chalk in my hand is real, but it doesn't do anything until I use it.
The Communist Manifesto is a what?
Well, it's the Communist Manifesto has been acted upon in the past, so it's slightly different.
The Communist Manifesto is a book by Karl Marx and Frederick Engels. The political theory of communism, right? It is the doctrine.
It was acted upon. It has been used.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, if I was to say that right now, that I think that the Democrat Party in the United States has a communist agenda, is that conspiracy?
I don't think they have a communist agenda. I think they might have a socialist agenda. Like they.
No, hang on.
First.
Socialism. You got to read the Communist Manifesto to get this. Socialism. There is no such thing as socialism without communism. Socialism is a path to communism. Every time. Every time.
So, if you want to read that book and you want to delve into it deeply, yes. But what I'm saying is you can have socialism without communism, because I'm a firm believer that you can't. You can ride both ends. You could be a democratic society with free, it's not free economics. What the hell is it called?
Free market.
Free market, and still have a socialist viewpoint. You can still use money to help people like Canada does. And I believe that's what the Liberals are trying to do.
It's not working. So everywhere in the world.
Only way, go ahead.
Everywhere in the world that socialism started, okay, has moved vastly farther left over the last 60 years. Vastly farther left. Okay, there's no country that has enabled socialist programming that has not traveled vastly farther left. Okay?
Sure.
So what that does, sorry?
It's a pendulum.
No, it's a political spectrum.
It's a pendulum. So it will go until people are like, no, we need to stop. And then it'll swing back into a better area.
You don't get communism away like that. Communism has to be fought out. So, sorry?
It's not the communism. You're jumping in that it's communism, and it's not. It's about people wanting to help other people using resources of the government. Not everything is going to be funneled through the government. Jobs, resources, everything's going to be funneled through the government and then given to us. That's not what we're trying. That's not what liberals are trying to do. Liberals are trying to help the people around them.
You can't even say it with a fucking straight face.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
You can't even say it with a straight face that the liberals right now are not in a position where they're not handing out money left, right, and center.
Well, so there's been...
It's fucking horseshit because it always moves
I just got a check for $186 from Justin Trudeau. So I don't know what to tell you. Like, so what I'm trying to tell you is that you will get to that point and then it'll swing back. There's no way we're going to continue it because handing out money to people is not going to work. Everywhere, like anyone sane knows that. And so we will get back to a point where we're just using our money to help people. And I'm down with that. My taxpayer dollars, because I pay a lot of them, help people. And I'm down with that. And that's social. That's socialism. But what you're talking about is communism. And I don't think that's where we're headed. I think that you're seeing the social programs that are being enabled and tried out, because they're all trials. They last a few years and then the next government removes them usually, which is exactly what happened when Biden came in and Trump left, right? And when Trump went in, he removed a bunch of stuff. That's what happens. So they're trying it out. They're seeing if it works.
How's it going?
I see it working.
How's it going?
Like the in Canada, CERB, I believe, my personal opinion, was a massive, massive failure. I didn't collect it, thank God, nor would I, because I didn't need it. But a lot of people who did collect it didn't need it. And it was a massive failure. And I think this new thing, we're getting money because we bought gas, I guess. I don't know. It's the environmental, like he's been collecting money and I think he's giving it back to us. Isn't that what's going on? Which wasn't the point of him putting it on the gas, the carbon tax. The point of that was he was supposed to create social programs that would change the environment, not just redistribute my money. So I'm a little confused by that.
Because what the fuck is that? Redistribution of wealth is what?
Socialism.
That's my point, man.
No, I think something he's trying to buy votes. He's trying to get his popularity back up, and that's what he's doing. It's not communism. He's trying to get his popularity back up by buying people, like convincing them. But what they don't get is I have spent way more than that, like this week in carbon tax. So to give me that money, really, he's just giving the money that I spend to someone else, which is fine if it's going to be used in a way that is beneficial to someone's life. But I do not believe these $186 checks are going to, the $186 checks are going to buy a lot of like pizza and stuff. I think.
I could just fucking hit you.
Go on over and hit me.
So what we're doing is that we are contributing again to inflation. This is by design. Because what's going to happen is you are going to. This is by design. They just fucking cut checks.
Right. I rolled. Watch.
No, I know, but like you can't say that it's not by design. They're giving people more money in an inflationary time.
Yeah. So Trudeau was trying to buy votes and trying to postpone.
He's got 4 years until he's got to get elected again.
I know, but people are hating him. So like
no.
He could.
No. That's naive. That's naive. There's
It's
no way.
Naive.
It's naive.
No, it's not naive. His popularity is so low right now that he has to do something to get it back up.
He got elected, what, 8 months ago? He's, what, 9 months into a third term? What is he? Fuck, I don't even know.
Second.
Yeah, he doesn't have to buy votes. It's not about buying votes. If you think it's about buying votes, you're 3 years
No, it's about buying popularity, which is buying votes. I just said buying votes because that's the easiest way to say it. But it's about buying back popularity so he can move forward doing things. Because he's had a lot of hits of late. And there's still hits that haven't even been explained that are like Lava Life. So
Lavalin.
That's one of those hits that no one explained. It came out and then disappeared, really.
Because we had COVID.
Yeah. And then the trucker thing, which he mishandled. I don't think there's very many people who don't think he mishandled the truckers protest, among many, many other things, because he hasn't done anything that he said he was going to do. But
see, this is where I'm lost, is that he mishandled all of these things, yet they elected him to a minority government again.
Yes.
So he got his election. So then 9 months later, he cuts you $200 check. And that's everyone goes, no, man, there's no reason for it.
The reason is because his popularity is so low. And possibly he thinks, And he's wrong that it's going to help in some way. Like $186, that's not a full family's grocery bill. It's nothing.
Do you not think that he's got financial analysts standing there over his shoulder going, hey, man, not a great idea right now. We're trying to sop up money out of the economy.
It depends on his financial analysts, because there are financial analysts that believe the opposite.
That we need to stimulate with more money?
There are financial people. I'm not saying they're right, because I don't think they are. But there are, like you've heard from them, that feel that putting more money into the economy will help. There's theories about that. Like there's studies about that. Right?
The Great Reset.
The Great Reset.
Right. No, but I mean it. Like you.
Oh
I know that you think that this is like a great conspiracy, but it's not. Because the way that the market goes, the stimulus that has been going on right now has created a debt on civilization, humanity, if you will, that we will never get out of. We will never get out of it in the system that we have. And that's what we're continuing.
You're not wrong. We have spent way too much money.
Okay, so what happens now is when we continue to print money and we continue to stimulate an economy with inflation, what we're doing is we're creating a debted society that has no hope. Okay, there's no way of getting out from underneath it. So what people do is they go, hey, this is wrong. We need someone to come along and be the hero and solve this problem. And who's going to come along and solve the problem, James?
Me?
The government. No, but
right?
that's what they're going to do. So they're going to come and solve the problem. Now, in any time in the world, when the government runs in with the solution, you go, holy fuck, I'm good. I don't want that. And that's what I'm saying is that when you dabble in these socialist movements, you open up the door for the government to continue to solve your problem. And you can't do it. And that's where we're going. And whether I'm old enough to see it or not,
sure,
I
sure.
think
what I'm thinking is that people are designed to help each other, and we are using programs, and they are funneled through the government because the money that I give to the government, I would hope and I expect to go to social programs that help others. I expect that.
But do you believe that? Do you believe that the institution of the Canadian government is so benevolent that the church couldn't do it, or a different, a Muslim organization couldn't help people? Like, do you think that the government of Canada is so benevolent in everything that they've done and been so great around the world that we should fund them to solve all of our problems?
They're not solving all of our problems. They're helping others using social programs that we're creating.
But why can't we find other non-governmental programs to do that? Like, do you donate to Red Cross? Do you donate to other causations?
How would we fund them?
How would what?
How would we fund them?
Stop taking my money, and I then get to choose to donate to the Red Cross or to the church,
right.
or
because
to the.
That's what most people would do.
But that's called freedom, man.
I'm not saying it's not called freedom, but it's also free to give your money to the government that you elect, that you trust.
No, brother.
Distribute the money to organizations that are designed and monitored and watched by the government to enforce and a certain standard of care to individuals that need it.
As you know, as someone who has dealt with these organizations in the past, the waste, fraud, I would argue fraud, is so rampant.
Usually in the public sector. Yeah, the people
right.
that you're talking about. But the government-run ones.
No, you flipped that. The private sector is streamlined because they have to be. Public sector waste is ungodly.
I'm talking about fraud. You mentioned fraud. I would say there is way more fraud in the public sector than there is in the government sector.
You've switched that. Like you're saying, the private sector is private business.
Yeah, there's way more fraud in the private business.
Right, but you flipped it.
Okay.
I don't disagree with you. I'm saying that I think
waste.
The government. I
agree. More waste in the government, and we should be looking at the way things are filtered through the government and how we're top heavy in most cases, and how we have councils that for 2 years will work on a project. They will announce the project, they will do the project for a year, and then the project goes away. Like, we waste more and more money that way. We need to start picking projects and sticking to them, or not spend so much preempt to it, because you don't need that very much preempt. You don't need that many studies to get something done. But it seems that
that's the problem. Or don't have the government do it. That's my point. Don't have the government do it. Let it go to the private sector. The private sector will streamline because it's profitability. They will streamline that process. Where there's fraud,
you would lose most of your money.
Sorry?
In the private sector, you would lose most of the money. Most of the money would go to the people that are trying to make money. At least in the other sector, although you're right, there is a lot of waste of money. There is also more money going to the people that they're serving than you would get if it was a purely public profit-making sector.
So you would argue that welfare is a more streamlined process than...
I'm not saying streamlined. I'm saying more people on welfare are getting money because it is run by the government than if we were to go, here, Pat, you take your cut, and the rest you're going to dole out to people you feel need it. There would be less people getting that money, and more of it would go to you, is what I'm saying.
Give me an example of why you think that.
The group home fields and public hospitals, pharmacies, you name it. There's lots of examples of that. Also, if you look at even some of our sorry, I'm very tired. It's been a very weird, long day. Some of the places they collect donations, they are called, I feel like, charities. Some of the charities, there have been proven, some of the great big charities are taking huge cuts, right? And those are not run by the government. Those would be considered non-profits, but they end up being profit public charities.
So my question is, okay, so when you have the government, the transparency is not there, okay, because they spend and spend and spend and spend and spend and spend and spend because they have to, or they don't get their money again. So if you donate to the Red Cross and you find out that, hey, fuck them, 79 cents of every dollar that I donate goes to that, like the people that run it, as opposed to the people in Thailand, right?
Sure.
Wherever you want to be, then you stop donating to the Red Cross.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Right.
So the Red Cross,
the government, when they come with a guy with the gun,
the Red Cross is the only people doing welfare. So now where do I give my money so that people on welfare can survive and live?
So what I'm saying is a free market. There won't be just the Red Cross. There will be multiple agencies that come into play to help people.
Yeah, depending on how much they can make off it.
Well, but that's...
Whereas the government program isn't trying to make money off it. The government program really is trying to help people, and they help more people because of the way it's done. Because money is not made to make money; it's made to help people. Look at this
I fundamentally disagree. Like on such a level, it's a tan line. It's not like wrinkles. It's a tan line.
No, you're making me have a vein right here. See it?
It's
my liberal vein.
Disagree. I think that anything that the government touches goes to shit very quickly. The free market needs to be monitored, and there needs to be checks and balances on it. But anything that the government touches goes to shit in a handbasket. And we've got to make a very big decision in our nation and the Western society, because it can't be. And I love you, man. I love you like a brother. I think you're a fantastic guy. We argue about this all the time. I think that giving money for causes that you feel confident in doing and that you hold dear to yourself is far more admirable than having a guy with a gun come and take your tax money every year and tell you where he's going to put it or not. That's That's
the
crazy.
votes also tell them where to put it, right?
The who?
The votes. So, like in Canada, for 4 years, you vote someone in on what they run on. They direct the money.
Did wealth change since
when the conservatives get in, they lessen that and they start pulling back on those things. And when the liberals get in, it gets fatter.
Did welfare change in the last 20 years, no matter what party?
It changed several times in the last 20 years.
How so?
Some of it has been staff access. The amount of money people get has changed. It's fluctuated depending on who's in charge. How you get it, how you maintain it, how you keep it, all of that has changed over the period of time, depending on the government that's in power. You don't know because you're not on it. I don't really know because I'm not on it, but I've dealt with people that are on it. So I know that, like you may have to do more to be on it. Like there were times in the past where you had to go in and fill out certain cards, or you had to go in and do certain courses, or you had to go in, or it was harder to fill it out, or there were less people to do intakes.
That sounds awful, man. You know what? We're totally right that we should definitely not have those policies in play where people have to partake in society to get a check every week. Like, again, man, I think you're right. We should just give this back to the government because it sounds like they got this all figured out.
They're doing a wonderful job.
You're killing me, man.
No, I'm just saying that more people get it, and more people who need it receive it because it's run by the government. It's more even.
It's fucking communism. More people are on it. More people are on it.
More people who need right now to be on it are on it.
We just went through the strongest economic time in Western society, and we have more people on Social Security and welfare. Dude, doesn't make sense. They're gonna fucking need it now. They're gonna need it now.
Yeah, they're definitely gonna need it. Yeah, especially if you're unserved.
They're gonna need it now.
They're coming for your money if you're unserved.
That's the point.
Yeah.
This is.
Yeah, so, you know what? Like, I was on welfare for 2 months. I couldn't handle it. That was when I first left school, and I was trying to be on my own, and I kind of stumbled a little bit. And I could have went to my dad and got a little bit of help. He didn't have a lot of money. He was poor, but I decided to man up. I went on welfare for 2 months, and for me, and it's because of who I am, it was the worst 2 months of my life. And every day of that 2 months, I went to 15 to 20 businesses a day. And it wasn't until I caught the owner of the job I got. He was walking out of one of his buildings on the front lawn. I had figured out his picture, and this was back before internet. I had, through phone calls and I figured out what he looked like, where he'd be, and I just ambushed him right on the front lawn. And I told him who I was and said, "Here's my resume, and I'll be the best employee, most hardworking. I found you, didn't I?" And he hired me on the spot. And that's just what you do.
That's it.
Right. That's
we got to keep this because we're going to lose our hour if we don't do that.
Oh, that's true. But yeah, that's just what I did. And, welfare is no easy thing to be on. And I think some people think it is. It's an easy thing to be on. There's a lot of connotations to be on welfare that make it tougher. And it's not a living wage in any mean, stretch, or feeling. It's not. You can't live off it. And that's where I'll end it. And profiteers out there, I hope this has stirred a conversation at your table. Pat and I are still excellent friends, and we always are. You guys haven't even seen. We're afraid to do some of our heated debates. We keep those off camera because we're not sure how people will take those. But maybe one day we'll hop on here and do one. But at the end of the day, we're still friends, and I'd still go clean his garage or help him with a boat or whatever it is he needs, and he'd still send me a lemon of a car. So,
sure would. Well, folks, we got to get you guys short here. We're not going to be able to post this on some of our stuff. So, thank you guys. We appreciate it as always. Check out the stocks this week. We're going to be following what we're doing with Cybin there. Check it out. And as always, folks, let's make some money together.
Let's heal our minds, bodies.